Hello and welcome back to the Crusades of the Purple Knight. This is level 12. Hope you're all having a good day. It's been uncommonly warm this past week here in the UK. I mean, it is summer after all, but we normally don't get more than a couple of days of sunshine. So to walk outside as I did today and not see a single cloud in the sky, that's quite something. And for most of us here, maybe a little bit too much, but we're not going to complain. All change here at level 12 with access to the tier 5s. I thought it was high time we did what we are supposed to be doing this life, which is Eldritch Knighting, not messing about in the human tree or the Pale Master tree. So I've had a complete reorganisation to that end. I want to do like we did with the Blightcaster last time and explore all the different enhancements that we can and see what works for us and what doesn't. So to that end, I've taken almost everything out of the Harper tree. I will build it back later. We don't really need the intelligence to hit because we have it in there in the Eldritch Knight. I would have thought we might get intelligence to damage in there as well, or maybe they thought that would be a bit too strong. So we still need to build this back up for the int to damage and for the know the angles for the extra damage there. So we've lost quite a chunk of damage there. We're having to rely on our strength now to do the damage. So we've lost, 6 damage there at the moment. Our strength isn't terrible, so that's not terrible. I just really wanted, as soon as we got to 12, to showcase these tier 5s, more for myself than anything else, because I've never done anything like this, never been in this tree, so I wanted to see what they could do. So I've kept the bare minimum in the Pale Master just to allow us the Shroud of the Lich for the negative energy healing. Our healing, of course, has taken a big hit because we've lost 30 healing amp from there, and we've lost some negative crit chance as well. But I hope to, well, we've got 40 points in here now. I hope to go to 42 in there with those 2 cores. Build up the Harper thing back again to 13, and with the remaining points go back into the Pale Master. If I can get 2 cores, that would be lovely. 20, should be able to, shouldn't we? 42 plus 13, 55, which should leave us 25, maybe 26, because we've got a free point there. 26 for this. That should be more than ample. We should be able to get all the crit, all the heal amp, some intelligence. That should be good. And those last 2 cores, it should work out just about perfect. But at the moment, well, we're sort of in transit. We're having to make do without the intelligence to damage side of things. So although that's going to be made up for, at least in part, by some of the stuff that's in here. So let's have a look at what we've picked up. We've lost at the moment the extra damage related to our intelligence with the know the angles and the intelligence to damage. But we have picked up the core 4 in here. A bit more double strike, more spell power, more resistance to the elements. So 16. So that's not bad, is it? In early teens. No, we're not even in the teens. We're on 12, aren't we? So 46 elemental resist is very good for this level. Not too shabby at all. The saves with greater heroism are looking pretty good as well. Just the will one is lagging a bit behind because the wisdom was a bit of a dump stat. Now then, let's talk about this base attack bonus, because we've just got something here, this Knight's Transformation. One of the things that does, base attack bonus equals your character level. So we've got 12 now, instead of the 6 we normally would have had for being a wizard. So that's quite a big deal, because that's giving us 6 extra chance to hit, as well as I think it gives... I wrote it down because I did a bit of research into this, not knowing too much about it. More attack speed, and extra PRR from armor. Well, we're only wearing cloth, so I don't think that's going to apply. But if we switch that thing off there, you can see we're down to 6 BAB. So that whenever you see something like that, 6 and then 12, it's telling you there in the description. The second value is the modified base attack bonus and used while we are fighting. And thanks, Dragon, for knocking me all over the place. I was just sat just nicely by the fountain. I thought we might cool our feet in the fountain, as it's been quite a hot day at this end in reality today. I do like to have a little stream in the fields, and when it's not too muddy, the dog and I like to go there and just cool the feet a little bit. But I digress. Right. So yes, this fourth core, I hadn't even finished with that, had I? One more imbue dice, which is nice, and this deflect arrows feat, which is insanely good. And I think it was one of you folks who noticed in the fifth core, the deflect arrows now triggers every 2 seconds. That's just madness. Really, really good. And another imbue dice, more double strike. Just super good times there. Plus, each one of these cores gives 10 hit points as well. So that fourth core was a... Bloody hell, what's going on here? Have I... Is he a regular in these parts, this dragon? I must have chosen a really bad spot. Let's try and... last time. So yeah, super happy with the thing with the cores. So what else have we picked up? We know what we've lost here in the Harper tree, and we've basically lost the intelligence side of offense from the Harper tree, and the negative healing side from the Pale Master. But in return, we've picked up quite a few goodies in here. We've got a couple of intelligence points, so that's another DC for us. Speaking of DCs, one of the tier 5s here, our Knight's Strike, which is the this thing here, the Eldritch Strike. Every time that's used, there is significant synergy with that in the rest of this tree. So you're getting bonuses to hit, damage, double strike, melee power, enchantment, which is going to be amazing for our mass hold and hold at present. Spell pen, again, very useful for the same. And it's lasting for... well, that one's lasting for 30 seconds. Does that do the same? Oh no, this is always on, this part. When this transformation's on, extra critical multiplier. Yeah, very nice. And this Knight's Controller is just perfect for our build to go into the enchant side, the mass hold, spell pen, extra melee power, just awesome. Now this one, Forcer's Edge, this is where we, well, one of the two things that would require us to be a bit more proactive with the offensive spell casting. So I've tried to incorporate that a little bit more into what we're doing. Now this one, I should mention I did try 2 SLAs. I tried the Magic Missile out of Archmage and the Necrotic Touch in the Pale Master tree, neither of which seemed to trigger this Forcer's Point. So I changed tack a bit. I think it must not be an SLA for triggering that. You have to use a regular spell. So what I've found is that when you throw a firewall down in front of a group of things, not if something stays in there, I don't think, but the first time each opponent goes in there and gets hit by it, that gives you a stack of this Force's Point, so you don't have to cast like multiple spells. That one spell, as it's chewing away on some of the opponents, every new opponent that goes into it seems to trigger this, and it can stack up to 5 times for +5 hit and damage. So that's a nice one to have, and it plays nicely into our strategy because I was using Firewall to decent effect anyway. I guess as we go further up and the Wall of Fire becomes less potent, it can still be used to stack up this Force's Point just by gathering the opponents around us, so that's nice. I mentioned intelligence to hit, so we've not lost any to hit chance, it's just the damage side that that's hurting here through not having these. Arcane Barrier triggering, that's a Radiant Force Field if we drop below 50% health, which we're more likely to do now because we have lost a significant chunk of our healing potential. And coupled with that, we can actually cast the spell ourselves now as a spell-like ability. So I've got that on the bar, quickened, and that's on a 3-minute cooldown, but still nice to have for like end fights and whatnot. We've covered. Oh, that's another one then. That's sort of the complement to Force's Point, Force's Edge. So that's how we get our +1 critical threat range, by casting offensive spells. So as well as the Firewall, I've been trying to find a cheap actual spell. I thought about the what are the little things? Is it Finger of Flame or Finger of Ice or whatever? The thing that costs 2 spell points a time and is on a fairly short cooldown. But then I thought, can't you find anything more useful? So I've picked up this Scorch thing. I can't quicken it because that would be way too much mana. But 8 a time, and it's a fairly quick cast. So, and maybe if we hit more than one with it, the Force's Point will trigger more than once for the martial side of it. And as it's on a short cooldown, it could trigger that Force's Edge for us. So I need to remember to keep throwing that in when we're in combat, especially against a group. These we've already shown, and that one, the last one, that's an AoE cleave, and that works extremely nicely. 5W attack, so it's a big heavy attack. It's on quite a long cooldown, 30 seconds, and that's with 3 points in it. It starts on a minute if you only put 1 point in. It's got a very high chance to be a crit. I can see that coupling really well with Adrenaline in the Fury Epic Destiny. Adrenaline and then that, and you've got a big hitting thing against a group of opponents there. So nice AoE. So a mass hold and then a Tempest. I would imagine that's going to make quite a mess. Okay, so that's the enhancement side of things. Nothing to say on the gear. I would have liked, actually, given that we're using acid for the imbue, or I was using flame actually in the last one, because we've been, I should mention, shouldn't I, quests we've done to this point: the full red Fens chain, the Shadow Crypt in the Necropolis, the Keeper's Sanctuary in Jorasco. Those are all level 9s. And then the first part of Ravenloft, the level 10s. That's what we've done up to this point. I'll put that in the description. So yes, I noticed that wisps, I'm pretty sure, are immune to acid. and electric, I think. But I thought I'd try flame, and they're not immune to the flame, so that was good. Especially as some of the stuff in that section of Ravenloft is very vulnerable to it, like the scarecrows in the Into the Mists. So happy days with that. Nice to have a bit of flexibility. So yeah, I was saying I would have liked to have swapped in the other belt that's part of, or another belt, because there are three, aren't there, that's part of this caster set. The Burn Scar Sash, the Acid and Fire. I would have liked to use the Fire crit chance from that belt, but we've got a Master's Gift slotted in this one, and we don't have one in the other, so I thought I'd just leave it alone. And it is quite important to get the negative crits in as well to keep our health up, so I don't think it's going to hurt us too much having a lower fire critical. The acid critical at present really doesn't matter because the imbues can't crit, can they? Right, we've covered the Knight's transformation. We've mentioned that and the quests. I think that's pretty much it. So I thought I'd give us a tough test on this level, just to see how we've come on and if we're really up to it or not. So we're going to try one of the Dragonborn level 10s here in the marketplace. Let's go for this one. There's no... Oh, I mentioned there's no changes on the gear side, are there? Yeah. Spells wise, nothing of any import. But there is something important to report on the feat side. We've picked up the improved two-handed fighting feat. So that's boosted our strike through now up to 110. It doesn't look like it's moved much because I've removed the points as well out of the human tree. We were getting 20 strike through out of there. But 110 means it's guaranteed that we hit 2 targets every time we swing, assuming we have 2 targets in front of us, and we have a small chance, 10% chance to hit 3. So we're going in the right direction, and it's a bit more melee power as well for us. The next one, we're slow to pick up, again, and this is to do with this base attack bonus. Because we're a wizard, we're slow to pick up these two-handed feats because they're conditional on the base attack bonus. So we'll have to wait until early epic, I think, to get the greater one, and also the perfect one. Although the perfect one, if I remember right, is not conditional on anything. You can pick that up when you want it. You don't even have to have the previous versions of it. So I think we could get that at 22 if memory serves. Right. Now this is a long old quest, and I'm really going to have to try and conserve the mana. Now one of the things that will help is we don't have Know the Angles. Know the Angles is 15 mana every time you recast it, so I've extended all these buffs. They're going to cost us more to cast, but the twice the duration should prove useful in a quest as long as this one. Just have to decide which of the short-term buffs we want on.
Jungle into an open clearing, only to spot footsteps can be heard from further down the path.
We're going to have an AoE strategy, the firewall. So watch when the firewall goes down, if it starts stacking up some physical forces point, which is going to give us more weapon damage. So a death or displacement haste. And we do still have, even with this night transformation thing, we do still have, let's switch to the acid for our imbue. It's a bit stronger. We still have range look on the spells. It's not like it's touch range like it would be for the, I think 10 says it's touch range. It does prevent you from using the enlarged meta magic, so having double range, but it doesn't affect you know, the standard ranges of the spell, so that's good. Now, are you on your own? Nope, okay. So the focus now has switched from holding to AoE damage. If I had the spell points, I would go with a web as well, perhaps, although they are dying fairly nicely here, aren't they? I'm making sure to throw in this cleave thing, this what's it called, Eldritch Strike, as often as I can to keep the related buffs in the tree to that, to keep those going.
The door opens, revealing a lush waterfall. Twisting paths lead deep into the dense jungle.
And the fact we keep casting an offensive spell there should be helping our critical, is it critical threat range to stay one higher when we want it to. We want it to be active, that thing, when we go into a combat, so, and we normally lead with the wall of fire, so it's gonna be active when we want it to. Oh, now this is going to be a problem. Let's try the web.
Some kind of lever amongst the tents.
I think I webbed the big guy there, didn't I? Let's get the boosts on. Hit the heal. Can we hold you? Oh yes, look at this. Look at this. Big attack there. I forgot to mention the big attack also knocks them down. That's the long cooldown thing, Eldritch Tempest. Very nice. Saved it for just the right moment. Now the mana is looking a bit fragile, isn't it? I think what we need to do is take the extend off, because it's not going to help us, is it? We're still going to run out of mana and end up having to shrine. So let's remove extend from all these. It'll be what? 12 minutes anyway, which is more than enough the way we're burning through mana. Just can't see any point having a big long duration on those when we're gonna have to shrine anyway for the other stuff. But we do seem to have hit upon a very decent rubbish saved. That was the big attack again. Can't be having Reapers saving against us, can we? So leading with the firewall is actually doing really nicely for us. As well as an AoE damage while we fight, it's keeping the critical threat range thing in the tree going nicely, and also the forces point physical side, so extra weapon damage for us by casting offensive spell. And I am thinking that we only have to cast that one for it to go, yeah, because it's triggering forces physical there. So when they wander in, you can have multiple activations of that for just that one spell. So that's looking really nice.
A distant sound tells you that a ward has been
The
disabled.
nicest thing about it is that, aside from the fact we're almost out of mana, is that we would be casting it anyway. It's not something I'm just throwing in just to activate that that buff. It's something we would be using anyhow. I just saw a shrine, which means you guys are gonna be in trouble. Why can't we do the big attack here? Something went wrong. Oh, does it cost mana, the big attack? I wonder if it costs mana to do. Oh, spell point costs 20, yeah. Oh, I learnt something there. Okay. Let's have a quick rest then. I've never... This is something else that's a novelty. Well, I rarely do melee builds anyway, but I have never done one that's been so mana hungry. But it's been a great deal of fun so far. The last melee I did, I think I said already, was a what's the paladin version of the monk, the sacred fist thing. I did it with Vistani knife fighter tree, and it was alright. It was decent, you know, damage wise and that, but it was nothing like as fun as this one has been to do. I think it would be somewhat of an overkill if I was still using the web, because they're dying pretty quickly at the moment, aren't they? And what I need to do is to remember as well to use the boosts. We've got that spell power boost, that's a 30 bonus to melee and universal spell power. So that's very nice to have. That's something else I'm not used to with this build. There's a lot of little things you've got to click quite often and remember to do so to get your full bonus out of it. Keep various buffs going and whatnot. Should we give ourselves a little test and take this guy on? Hands up who thinks I can hold him. Go on, let's have confidence.
One of the fiercest lizard folk has made this room into its den.
Yes! Get in there. Beautiful.
Collapses.
Oh, that was a mess. Okay, let's just invite them in. That was because I didn't target the I think people call it a hard target, don't they, where you tab and target the one you want the spell to land on. All I did there was press the spell key, so it just went off in front of me, and that's why we got that complete fail.
An enormous
Right, we're
cavern
going to want
opens
some
before
feather
them.
fall here,
A
aren't we?
raised platform can be seen on the far side.
So this one, if you've not seen it before, basically just pull a lever, activate a new platform. The new platform takes you to another section,
You pull the lever,
and
a
pull the
distant
next lever,
platform
and
suddenly
eventually,
begins moving.
with a bit of luck, you'll get across. It is quite fiddly because there are some air jets in one section that can easily have you down in the water, but keep at it and you will get there. Now this lever activates that one over there, so I'm going to try jump across and just see if I can land on it. Nope. Now those can be switched off with a ranged weapon. You can try to shoot that. I think I just hit it there, so that they should stop. Yeah, there you go. That should make it a bit easier for us. They're a bit fiddly to land on, especially if you land on them while they're moving. You can get a bit of a jumpy thing happening, and you think you landed on it and then you end up in the water. If you don't have a ranged weapon, there are ranged weapons in all these barrels here. So there's a same thing there. There are a couple of things over there. Now when I stop those from going, these two at the other end will start. You can, as you drift past the lever, hit it again when you pass those two, and those two should stop. But I just jump off the thing and see if I can make it. And then when you get to the other side, don't forget to pull the lever to set that one going for any of your unfortunate or lazy colleagues who were just waiting for somebody to make it across so they could have the easy way. Okay, ready, boom. So that's the lever to set that one going for your party to follow you up. Our longer buffs are still looking good. Get the short ones back on. See there, we've landed right in the middle of them. That's good. You'll see as well, we're not very good against one target, but against a group of targets, with the AoE we have on this build, seems bizarre to have AoE on a melee build, but we do, and we're doing alright with it. Nice one. Oh, there's a Reaper in there, I hadn't noticed him. I tried to colour spray him and missed him. Now one good thing about the big groups of things, the Reaper can't move through the opponents, so you can kind of use the opponents sometimes, as I did there, to shield you from him. So I'm seeing a change in strategy here, definitely away from the web and more towards the offensive casting. Did we get the haste? Yeah. So we've got a number of attacks, of our special attacks given from the Eldritch Knight tree, that are giving us, among other things, a boost to universal spell power, which helps our healing, of course, as well, with the ticking death aura, which is nice.
With the lizard folk defeated, Alanithris calls for you to come to the front gate.
Don't forget to use the shrine. There we go. I think we've all got stories of times where we just tried to make it without using the shrine and ended up either barely scraping through, or in some cases not making it at all, and thinking, oh, why didn't I just stay at the shrine? At least with this build you can do, I mean, there's nothing that says I have to throw the firewall down every time. It's helping us big time, but if we were desperate, I could just stay doing the death auras to keep us healed, and maybe displacement as well, and forego the offensive casting, although in doing that I'm losing quite a chunk of our potential damage output.
But a hole has been excavated to give access to the hallway below.
Not only from the offensive spells themselves, but the buffs they then give. I'm liking this fire business, I must say, and it's a hell of a nice feel to it gameplay wise, to be going in and throwing the spells around as well, rather than just flailing away with the sword and that's kind of all she wrote.
The lever is pulled, and energy begins to flow towards the central chamber.
And between the spells and the strike through on the weapon, we certainly don't seem to be doing that badly. There can be traps here, can't there? Yeah, there can be pressure plate force traps on the floor in this area. As if to illustrate the point, me and my big mouth. Now this door here is peculiar for the fact that you open the door and the opponents appear behind you, roughly here. Just something to be wary of. threw a fireball in there as well for effect.
As the lever activates, energy pulses into the central chamber.
Just be careful of these pressure plate things.
An unnatural cold radiates throughout this room, which is dominated by a glowing magical gas. Two gems adorn the crystal panel with a lamp distinction. The gate to the west
I always
slides
try and
open,
think of that one as
clearing the
a
way into Dunalenthia's
telephone's keypad, and then it seems to go alright. He doesn't mess about, does he, when he gets in and among the opponents?
Dunalenthia stands stiffly on the platform.
So in this one at the end, there are three people initially which you need to take out, and then there's a red named person and the dragon. Focus fire the red person, not the dragon. I'm not even sure the dragon is able to be killed anyway. Oh, another case of the platform trouble. You think you're there, you think you're on it, and not quite. Nice.
Dunalenthia from her magical compulsion.
Well, I'm not disappointed at all. I was expecting. I know it's not high up the Reaper scale, but I was expecting to suffer with the lack of healing that we now have, and I think such are our offensive options that we are mowing through stuff reasonably handily, aren't we? So yeah, happy days. It's just a question of remembering now to what we've got in our locker, and to hit it all at a good moment, and to manage the mana. So it's probably just as well this Eldritch Tempest is on a decently long cooldown, because that's 20 spell points every time. Well worth it though. You've seen the mess it makes. We would quite like a higher force spell power to take advantage of that, but that's going to scale all the way to the end of the epics, isn't it? 1 to 6 force damage per character level. Yeah. So the Scorch you've seen, the Firewall you've seen. Web, I don't think hardly got used in that one. Maybe once against that big giant, didn't it? And even then, the real thing to have used was the Hold Monster, which really scuppered him. Yeah, Fireball just the odd time, just for effect. I don't think it's doing that much for us, is it? The Firewall, though, certainly is, and that's triggering the physical side of the Forcer's Point, the Marshal, very nicely. It seems to be that every time a new opponent steps into the Firewall, you get that one stack of that, and you can go up to +5 hit and damage with that, so that's not to be sniffed at. In fact, that probably means that any AoE damage dealing spell, if we can find a cheap version of that, doesn't even have to do much damage going down the line, would be really good. Now, one of you mentioned Shard Storm going into the Epic. Now that, as well as giving defences in the form of temporary hit points, that would be really strong as well for triggering this Marshal bonus, because that does hit multiple targets too, doesn't it? So we've got our 3 boosts. I never seem to get to that one. That's a 20 melee bonus from the human tree. But the 2 main ones we're using, the Reaper's Strike 30 double strike, and this one is excellent. It comes from a combination of those 2. So it starts off as a 30 action bonus to universal spell power, but because of that we've got as well, it's also 30 melee power for those 20 seconds. So that's really nice to have. Is it worth 5 points in the tree? Well, to be honest, what else are you going to spend on? The one I would have liked to have got, but I don't have any medium armour. That would have been awesome for our defences. I don't have any medium armour that we could wear. I would have to craft something. I think maybe in early Epic, when he was doing the tanky Warlock, I think I crafted some medium armour then for him. We'll consider it at that time. Otherwise, what have we got on here? That's our Eldritch Strike. You'll have seen that. That's the cleave that goes off, followed by the AoE damage dependent on what imbue you're using. So you usually see a sort of an acid puddle, a bit like the acid blast effect that goes off when we use that. That one is a single target, but well worth doing. It hits a bit quite hard, and also 30 bonus to universal spell power after using it. This big thing we know all about, the Tempest. So that's the main offense that we're using. That and swinging the sword like crazy. So yes, I'm pleasantly surprised. I was expecting us to be, I mean, that thing never triggered, did it? The arcane barrier. So that tells us we never went below our 50% hit points. In fact, I don't think we ever got that far below 75, did we? So really nice. I think a lot of that is to do with the these boots that we're wearing. 15 DR in these sort of mid heroics is very, very strong in my opinion. That's like a stone skin permanently on, but more effective. That would be 10 DR stone skin, and this is, yeah, this is permanently on. It's just so good, that. Right, waffle over. I am planning to do the other Dragonborn one, and then we are going to go into the Desert Sands because there's plenty of level 10 stuff we can run in there. And I think that's the plan for the foreseeable future. Maybe the next episode might come from the Desert Sands. We'll see. Okay, I think that about does it. Hope that was okay for you. Thank you very much as always for looking, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.